Hey guys, so I wanted to go over the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Melchizedek, Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Judas for the Astrotheology that I found within it. These are all Gnostic texts. In fact, the Gospel of Judas isn't even recognized as a Gnostic text. So let's just start off. So Aquarius is the first sign, which is represented by the man. So whenever you hear son of man, man, baptism, water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, lake, pond, you're talking about Aquarius. And I've mentioned this before, Aquarius is an air sign. But because there's water within the sign, when you decode astrotheologically, it can kind of take place of that too. Pisces is the sign of the two fish in the water. So whenever you're talking about any of the water signs, water examples I previously gave you, you talk about the same thing. Then Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day. It's a 12-hour night. Okay. So whenever you hear Aries, whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn, Jews, for example, because Jewish people are the people of Aries, they're talking about Aries. Taurus is the bull. When you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, cow, you're talking about Taurus. Gemini is the twins, Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. It goes back to the Greeks, just like Aquarius goes back to the Greeks too, with Zeus and the boy. Whenever you hear twins and brothers, you're talking about Gemini. Cancer is the crab, and it's a sideways moving creature. And as I previously mentioned, starting on December 25th, the sun rises a degree, and then every other day it rises an additional degree till it hits June 21st. Then it walks 3 days sideways. Then it drops a degree and continues to drop a degree every day till it hits December 21st. Then it walks sideways for 3 days, and then it rises a degree again. It's the same pattern, and it does this every single year. Whenever you hear crab or beetle, they're talking about Cancer. And the reason beetle is because in the Egyptian zodiac, it wasn't a crab, it was a scarab, which was the beetle. Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before when you said you plant in Taurus, well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, grain things, they're talking about Virgo. Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox. Okay, now the fall equinox in Libra is the judge. Okay, it's the judgment. So what happens 8 days after the New Year's in the Jewish religion? You have something called Yom Kippur, which is the day of judgment. It's always in Libra. Okay, what do the Jews do? They go to temple all day. They pray. They don't eat or drink all day. And they pray for God to keep them in the book of life. Okay, so whenever you hear law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, you're talking about Libra. Whenever you hear wine, vineyard, wine press, because this is when you press the grapes into the wine, you're also talking about Libra. Olive oil, season, Libra. Press the olives into the oil, that's Libra. Scorpio is the scorpion. He is the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like 2 lips. That's why the mafia has the kiss of death. And it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra and betrayed in Scorpio. Then finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. I mentioned the death of Sagittarius, December 21st, because that's the day that the sun dies. Whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, horseman, they're talking about Sagittarius. And then finally, Capricorn's the goat, because he likes to climb the mountain. So the zodiac wheel starts with Capricorn at the bottom, and it slowly starts making the climb up the mountain all the way to its height in Cancer for the summer solstice. We're going to start with the Gospel of Thomas. Permit whoever seeks never to cease from seeking until he finds. They're talking about this ancient science that I'm dispelling for you guys right now. If those who lead you say God's kingdom is in heaven, then birds will fly there first. If they say it's in the sea, the fish will swim there first. The sea is a metaphor for the water sign Pisces, and the fish swim there because they're two fish. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. It's talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you or part of them. However, in astrology, the lion sign is Leo. The sign of the man is Aquarius. Those are opposing signs of the zodiac. You're going to keep seeing these opposing signs and neighboring sign patterns throughout the zodiac. Not only is it significantly mentioning the sign, you know, out of all the animals, out of all everything, it's mentioning the sign, but there's a pattern in the sky with it too. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net and draws it up full of fish. They're talking about man, Aquarius, and the sign of fish, Pisces. Those are connecting signs. He who has ears wide open, let him hear. You know, Jesus famously says, for those who have ears to hear and for eyes to see. You know, and many people take that as believing the Bible literally. And no, that's not what you do. There's deeper meanings. The sower went to sow. He filled his hand with seeds and scattered them on the field. This happens in Taurus. When you see the bull in the sky, you put the plow on the bull and till the land. Jesus replied, I am no longer your master because you've drunk from the living water. You've been living by the bubbling source which I've caused to flow. Jesus being the sun throughout the zodiac, Christianity was in the sign of Pisces. The living water is the sign of Aquarius, the man with the flowing water from the pitcher. Jesus no longer rules Pisces. There is a new religion. We're in Aquarius. We could talk about what the new religion is going to be, because you're not going to be able to rape and pillage and spread a religion like you can now, because everybody has camera phones and newspapers and alternative media that always calls out the bullshit that the mainstream media doesn't do. So something can't grow organically like that. So what it's going to be is it's going to be man merging with machines, the sign of the man, Aquarius, what we're in. See, Pisces is the two fish. That's why Jesus fed the masses with two fish. You know, Aries is the ram. Those are the Jewish people. That's why they blow the ram's horn to the sky. Egyptians were the age of Taurus. That's why they do hieroglyphs with the sun between the bull's horns. There you go. Jesus replied, it is like a grain of mustard, smaller than other seeds, but when it falls on plowed ground, it grows a large stem and shelters the birds. The seed comes from Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. When it falls on plowed ground or land tilled in Taurus, it grows. When the corn ripens, he comes in haste, sickle in hand, and reaps. He who has ears wide open, let him hear. Corn is not a modern day crop, as people have argued with me. It's not. It's been cultivated for at least 10,000 years. And it's typically harvested in September. And you could just honestly look it up online if you don't believe me. Or Virgo, which is the lady with the wheat stalk. His disciples said, show us that place where you are. We need to search for it. He answered, if you have ears, then pay attention and listen. It's in the sky. It's in the heavens. Then you'll see the Son of He who is the living God, and you'll never need fear again. The Son of Man, this is the sun in Aquarius, the sign of the man. His disciples asked, on which day will peace for the dead come about? When will a new world come? Jesus replied, what you desire has already come, but you don't realize it. The new world came during the new sign of Pisces, the one that Jesus the Son ruled over. But now we're in the age of Aquarius. We don't need Christianity anymore. Okay, the Egyptians faded after Taurus. The Jews faded. They're still Jews, but there's 10 times more gay people in the world than there are Jews. So the Jews faded. Now we're leaving Pisces. The Christians will fade too. It follows the pattern. I am the light above them all. I am the all. The all issues from me and reaches me. That's the sun. The kingdom of heaven is like a good woman who takes leaven, hides it in dough, and bakes loaf. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Talking about Virgo, woman who carries the wheat stalk. Virgo is when the woman would bake the bread. Kingdom of heaven covers the earth with glory, but mankind fails to see it. The kingdom of heaven is the celestial heavens, what makes up the majority of the Bible, yet people don't have eyes to see or ears to hear. Now we're at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And some of these are going to be very short because there's not a lot in them, but I just wanted to prove that it's in all of them. Okay. I mean, at this point, if you're following my lessons and you're seeing that we've done like 4 or 5 of them so far, that I don't really recall how many we've done, but we will get through them all. It's the basis of everything. Mary questioned her master, at the end of an eon, will all matter be destroyed? Each zodiac sign is considered a house. So the house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces, each sign is also called an eon. Luke 22:10, he replied, as you entered the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters. See, it's a house, it's an eon, it's a sign. There's many words for it. As far as Luke 22 goes, that was just an example. Men never carried water back in the day. It was a woman's job. Okay, so basically they're looking for the next Passover, and they say, okay, well, you're going to follow it there. So he's talking about Aquarius. Then Jesus greeted them by saying, peace be with you all. Take my peace into yourselves. Be watchful, so nobody leads you astray, claiming, look there, look here for the Son of Man. I tell you that the Son of Man is within you all. Seek him inside. Those who search diligently and earnestly shall surely find him. We're talking about the sun in Aquarius. It's the Son of Man. Melchizedek. Melchizedek is an apocalyptic gospel originally written in Greek, telling of the visions received from celestial beings by Melchizedek. It contains prophecies concerning the death, ministry, and resurrection of Jesus and the heretics who will deny him. I speak about Jesus, Son of God, who came from the eon that speaks about all eons and their nature, so I may be fit to adorn the robe of love and righteousness. They're talking about the age of Pisces. That's when it was written. The eon, the Pisces. But it isn't oxen you should offer for sins of infidelity, nescience, and evil deeds, for they don't reach the Father of the all. But firm faith is certain for those baptized in the waters that lie above. Well, what are the waters that lie above? In the age of Taurus, you would sacrifice an ox or a bull to God. They're in the age of Pisces above, which is the water that lies above. His grace is boundless. He has great compassion, sending his angel of light from the eons to unveil the way, to end ignorance, and to lead us from death to eternal life. Now the Gospel of Philip. If a fool harvests in winter, he'll tear out the good he has and be like a barren Sabbath. You don't harvest until you see the bull in the sky of Taurus. That's what this is telling you. Before Christ, there was no manna. Just as in Eden, many fields to feed flocks, but no wheat to feed man. Manna in Hebrew means, what's this? It's a small, round, white thing that you eat and you're able to talk to God. It's a mushroom. That's what it is. No wheat to feed man. They're still talking about before Christ. Christ comes from the virgin Virgo. Before he came, before the Son of God goes into Virgo, there's no wheat to feed the man. See, these are all just deeply encoded metaphors. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made his disciples great so they could see him in his greatness. On that day, he said in gratitude, you who have united perfect light with the Holy Spirit, unite us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him, it is impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. Well, the olives are in Libra and the Lamb is in Aries. Again, those are opposing signs. It's another pattern in the sky. Three walked with Christ. Mary, his mother, his sister, also Mary, and Mary Magdalene. All three were called Mary. This comes from Isis Mary. Okay. Now the Virgo glyph, if you've ever looked at it, it's an M with a Jesus fish attached to it. And the reason behind that is because Virgo is the virgin. It's the virgin mother that birthed all the gods from all time. Okay. From the Egyptians to the Jews to the Christians. It's an M for Mary with a Jesus fish. The apostles said to the disciple, may our sacrifices contain salt. They call Sophia the divine wisdom. Salt. Without the savor of salt, no sacrifice would be acceptable. I mentioned this in the last podcast, but we get the word salary from salt. Before humanity knew refrigeration, they were paid in salt because that's what preserved the meat. Lot's wife turned into a pile of salt. Basically looks back at the Sodom and Gomorrah depravity, which is basically like Las Vegas, and turns into a pile of money, reminding them all not to look. Man plows his field with the aid of the ox, and from tame beasts he's fed. The perfect man plows through his subdued powers, preparing for all to come into being. Okay, this is literally talking about Taurus, guys. I'm sure you can see that. Man plows his fields, that's Taurus, with the aid of an ox, obviously it's Taurus. Okay, the perfect man plows through his subdued powers. The Holy Spirit shepherds us and rules all powers, tame, wild, and unique. He hedges us in so we can't stray. The shepherd is Aries, the lamb. When the sun, or Jesus, is in Aries, he's either known as the Lamb of God, Aries, or the Good Shepherd. Okay, the shepherd is Aries, the lamb. The previous passage was about Taurus. This one is about Aries. Those are connecting signs. So it's a pattern that follows. But the worldly man sees the sun without being a sun, the same with heaven and earth. Just openly talking about the sun. The bridal chamber is not fit for beasts, slaves, and loose women. It is free men. It is for free men and the virginal, Aquarius and the Virgo. You have to ask yourself, why is it so important that a woman be a virgin? I mean, women are killed for not being a virgin. In Islam, if they're raped, they're stoned by their parents. It's sick. But it goes back to the idea of being virginal, which goes back to Virgo. See, in Islam, just to divert real quick, in Islam, there are 72 virgins. That's what they all die for. They all die to go to heaven to have 72 virgins. That's astrology. That has nothing to do with actual skin and flesh vaginas that you can penetrate with your endless erection, as they teach. Okay, you don't even have a body, so how do you have an erection? There's a star called 70 Virginis, which borders Virgo. So you have 70 Virginis, that's 70. You have Virgo, the one, that's 71. And you have the virgin that you marry on earth, that you have a family with. Those are your 72 virgins. Okay, that's all it is. That's all there is. Now, nor can you see reflected light without a mirror or water. So it is right to baptize in light and water. The light is the oil. Okay, this can go much deeper than what I'm going to do. When the light is the oil, that I can't touch that right now. But talking about the sun, baptize in light and water. Baptism comes from Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher, pouring the water out. The light is the oil. Christ is the sun. Christ in Greek means oil. See, Christ was a title. Christ was not actually his name. Christ was a title. And as far as Jesus goes, the letter J was invented in 1524. Okay? The Jesuits came around in 1534 and adopted the J for their name and to change it to Jesus. It was Isis for the Greeks. Joachim and Boaz from the Bible. Okay? His name was Joachim. Okay? Jesus was Yeshua. There was no J. J was the last letter to come into the alphabet. Okay? And it came after the letter Z. It's only a couple hundred years old. The true priest is totally holy, for he has consecrated the bread by enlivening the water of baptism. Bread is Virgo with the wheat stalk. The water of baptism is Aquarius. If you connect the firmament between Aquarius and Pisces and Leo and Virgo, those are opposing signs. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. If someone was weak, why would you give them oil and wine? If they're weak, they're dehydrated, they're hungry, why would you give them alcohol? And what good is oil without bread? But wine and oil come from Libra. It's just a metaphor. Men enjoy sex with women, the stallion with the mare, the bull with the cow. Aquarius and Virgo, the man and the woman. Sagittarius, the stallion with the mare. The bull with the cow is Taurus. Mention of Abraham. Abraham is a combination of two words in Hebrew, Abba, which means father, and Ram, which means ram, father Ram, the god of Aries. The Jews are the people of Aries, the ram. That's why they build the ram's horn to the sky still. Incidentally, Abraham and Sarah go back to Brahma and Saraswati. Gospel of Judas. He transformed water into wine, fed the hungry multitudes with fine loaves and fresh fishes. He raised Lazarus from the dead. Okay, so the water into wine story, which I went over before, he transformed water into wine. God is considered a male because of his rain. Earth is considered a woman because God's rain falls down onto earth and impregnates her, and from her belly grass grows, trees grow, plants, fruit, food grow. Okay, and then basically what happens is you plant in Taurus, and then April showers bring May flowers, and then it continues to rain throughout the year. So you plant and then you water it, and then it gets watered. Then the grapes grow, it turns it into grapes, and then you press the grapes to get the wine. Okay, loaves are Virgo, the wheat stalk, fish are Pisces, opposing signs. In the Bible, you're talking about Jesus with the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish feeds the masses. Well, the 2 fish are clearly Pisces, that's the 2 fish. The 5 loaves of bread. The year starts in Aries. If you count 5 signs from Aries, you get Virgo. Virgo is the bread. That's why you have 5 loaves of bread. Lazarus is not a new thing. Okay, Lazarus comes from Elazar, from the Egyptian time, who was raised from the dead as well. I mean, they're ripping things off of older books. That's all they're doing. It's amazing. You know, the idea of the flood goes back to the Epic of Gilgamesh. The idea of Lazarus is not new. He mercifully healed the blind, walked on the blue sea of Galilee, healed the blind and walk on water. So the Son, God's Son, Jesus, heals the blind. The Son does the same thing too. So what happened is the man came up to Jesus. Jesus touched him in his eyes with his fingers, and the man was able to see. But the Son does the same thing too. Right now it's daytime out, so I could see, but at nighttime I'm going to lose my sight. The sun goes away. But then thankfully the sun rises every single day, and when the sun is born again and comes back to life in the morning, I'm going to have my sight again. I'm going to be able to see further. I'm going to be able to see everything. Walked on the blue sea of Galilee. Have you ever seen a sunset on a lake before? That's how the sun walks on water. A nearby lake of still waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd psalm, where souls were restored. The lake of still waters is Pisces, the water. The shepherd is Aries. Those are connecting signs. The other disciples replied, "We are all brave, but none among us has the strength to stand up to you, except Judas the Essene, and even he can't gaze into your eyes. He turns to look away." So talk about the sun. No, you can't look at the sun directly. It's too bright. I mean, some people will say, you know, you could sun gaze at night. Yeah, but during the day at like high noon, okay? You know, from like 11 to 5 or 11 to 4, you can't look at the sun. It'll burn a hole through your cornea. Look now, I've enlightened you about that kingdom's mystery and the mistakes of your guiding star deceived by the rulers of the 12 eons. Well, the 12 eons are previously mentioned are the 12 zodiac signs. 16:5, and in this month the Lord executed his judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah. He answered, "It's the power of the constellations that control the fate of everything." Judgment is the judging, which takes place in Libra. Also, there's a story about Lot and his wife. We went over that. So I will leave that one alone because we went over that a couple times already. And those are the 5 books, guys. It's the same pattern. You'll see the same shit in everything. Okay, well, it's not shit, but you'll see the same stuff in everything. Now, I forgot a book that I'm going to add here too. So far, we've done the book of Matthew, the book of Revelation, the book of Enoch, Jubilees, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Melchizedek, Philip, and Judas. Next, we're going to do the secret Gospel of John. And then after we do that, we're going to go into books that are not biblically related. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Code of Hammurabi, the Quran, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, topics discussed in my book series: gematria, etymology, numerology, astronomy, astrology, astrotheology, out-of-body experiences, the Akashic records, symbology, remote viewings, religious secrets, capstones of the pyramids, mystery school channelers, near-death experiences, DMT monitoring, lucid dreaming, acoustic levitation, physics and quantum physics, psychotherapy, psychology, spiritual guides, and shared dreaming, and crystal technology, conspiracies that not many people know about, corruption and secret societies. What I've done with astrotheology in these PowerPoints, with these books, I have done with these topics in the book series. The book series is called Into the Rabbit Hole. This is what the first book looks like. And this is my email, intotherabbithole@gmail.com. You can always email me. I sell signed copies if you don't want to go through Amazon. A lot of people don't. I'm also on Twitter at Real Mr. Dank, Facebook and Instagram at Micah Dank. Follow me. I'll have a conversation with you, see what you think, ask me questions. I talk to tons of people. Lastly, I want to finish with this. My point, once again, is not that these ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. Sums it up perfectly. Anyway, I wanted to thank you guys, and I will see you guys next week with the Gospel of John.